group of volunteers, actually thousands of volunteers, that we started. But they're now a quasi-independent group that are working on their own to correct the media on their bias against progressives, and they have success. So I want to tell you about that success. It's wonderful, and I want to tell you the people who brought it to you, and it's just the beginning. It's the tip of the iceberg, but it's a wonderful success story. So look, what we're trying to do overall at the Young Turks is make you guys as much a part of the show as possible, so that we are you and you are the Young Turks. That's what we've been trying to do all along, but now that we've got a little bit more capacity in terms of technology, etc., we're trying to build that out. So that's one of the reasons we focus on membership, so that we're beholden to you guys and not to corporate interests. So tyt.com/join if you want to join. It's just $4.99 a month, and you get dozens of progressive shows. And right now it's actually free if you want to try it for a week at tyt.com/holiday. But anyway, back to the Army, and I'll tell you how to join the Army in a sec too. So there was an article by The Hill that I had not noticed, but they did, and it was by Matthew Sheffield, and it was called "Progressives Prefer Biden to Sanders in a Hypothetical 2020 Matchup, New Poll Shows." Well, members of the TYT Army who are tasked with looking at the media and finding things that are inaccurate thought that was curious. So they looked at the poll themselves, which is actually not included in the story, and they found out, no, progressives did not prefer Biden. Liberals did. Now, look, to be fair to both Matthew Sheffield in this case and the mainstream media overall, for them, that distinction is lost, and it is kind of confusing for a lot of people. But a lot of progressives these days do not view themselves as liberals, and liberals has kind of gotten a bad rap now, this time from the left rather than the right, because of a number of factors, including the word neoliberal, which is considered, rightfully so, as the wrong economic model and not something that progressives want to associate themselves with. So the title and then the text of the article is hence, at a bare minimum, slightly misleading. So they reached out to Matthew Sheffield, and he tweaked the article, and he corrected it a little bit. Now, did he correct it in all the ways that we wanted? No. So the title remains, which is unfortunate and I don't think accurate. But he put the poll in there, and he made a couple of other changes, including one change to give Biden another boost in the middle of the article. But I actually want to give Sheffield credit here, because he at least listened, which is much more than the rest of the media do. And he responded and changed the article to be more accurate. So you should reward that. That's wonderful. We are not the right wing. We don't want to destroy the media. We want to help the media. I know that they might not often perceive it that way, and it's tough to take criticism, even if it's a constructive one, but we do try to keep it constructive. So speaking of constructive, I want to let you know how it happened, because it's kind of amazing. So Allison Hartson is now the leader of the TYT Army, and we hired her to do that. And so she organized them, and she's about the best organizer in the business. So she broke them into groups. So in this particular case, it was a submitter who found the article, and that's the first group. And it was Joshua Filmer who found it. So thank you, Joshua, for finding the article. Then Task Force 1 are the lookouts. And the lookouts verify that the article actually does have media bias or propaganda. And that was Eric Schrager and Dana Manning. So all these guys doing a wonderful job. Then Task Force 2 does the analysis. So they look to see, and they research the article and the poll to verify whether the author is right or not. So we're taking this super seriously. And people sometimes get freaked out by how aggressive the Young Turks is. But we're aggressive because that's what's needed. The right wing is massively aggressive. And on the left is almost none of that. And it's a lot of pleading and begging and beseeching, right? And so they're worried about the name Army, but the reality is this is an army to combat trolls and bots and misinformation online and in the media, and to do our best at bringing you the truth. That's why we bothered to go and research and do all that hard work. These are not just people, doing things off the cuff. So the analysis team in this case was Angela Fujihara, Daniel Haverty, Jessica Chris. I'm trying, Jessica Reservoir. Okay, I think I got it. Liz Audette, Mark Peterson, and Tia. And then Task Force 3 is the reporting team that creates the information needed for people to disseminate the facts. And that was Kathy and John Dorsey in this case. And then Task Force 4 is the handlers that go out and actually contact the reporter. In this case, it was Bree. It was Brianna Camillucci. Free, I tried. Okay, and you guys were amazing. And it worked. And so Sheffield responded, and then he edited the article slightly. Look, again, we wish that he had edited a lot more, but I think it's a wonderful start. I think, again, give credit to Sheffield for being responsive. I mean, look at these. You know, the names that I just read, they're not professional pundits, politicians, journalists, etc. They're real people who actually want the truth in the media rather than the bias that we often see. This is not the most egregious case of bias, but it was misleading, and that's why saying, whoa, progressives like Biden better than Sanders, that doesn't seem that's true. And of course, it isn't true. And so, and now the polling favors Biden overall, and he has slightly more name recognition than Bernie Sanders. And the article points out that name recognition doesn't necessarily last. I think that it's actually very, very important, and that's why Sanders has a huge advantage. I think Biden's record will undo him at the end. So I don't think that's much of an issue. I actually think Sanders' name recognition here is going to be huge trouble for the rest of the establishment candidates. But I love that the TYT Army rocked this and made a difference. But, I mean, that was the tip. We're going to get the iceberg soon. So join up at tyt.com/army, and you too can make a difference. Imagine if we did that 10 times, 100 times, thousands of times, and that whenever anybody in the media wrote something, they thought in the back of their head, as they do with the right wing now, oh no, the TYT Army is going to come for me. I got to be careful here and not be biased against progressives. Man, if we can accomplish that by 2020, that would be amazing. So let's go make that happen. Who's going to do it? Not me, you. You guys are. And I didn't even know they were doing that at all. This is what I'm talking about. We're not the Young Turks. You're the Young Turks. So thanks to all the people who made that happen. Now let's go do it 100 times over.